Vampire ballerina, bad guys in a house, bad things happen, gory, fun movie. Yes, please. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of Abigail, which just came out to theaters last night, and I went to go see it. Now, I want to tell you up front that this is not going to be my regular style of review because I am just recovering from a really bad migraine this morning, which was hellacious. But I'm feeling better now. I just don't have the time to spend to edit because I have other things planned today. So I hope you understand that this will be a little bit more free form than I normally do. I'm just gonna wing it, but let's get into it. Abigail is a movie that is by the people who did Ready or Not, Scream 5 and 6, and plenty of the VHS and Southbound and anthologies like that. Matter of fact, they go by Radio Silence, which I was looking up, and they've been doing stuff with the VHS series since the very beginning. The very first VHS, they even did Phobias, which is another anthology. Then they came back for 94, 99, and 85, the more recent VHS franchise. And then obviously now they have Abigail, which they are working on too. I, of course, am a fan. I watched a lot of those movies and enjoyed many of them, including Ready or Not, which I would say that this film kind of feels like. But that is why I was kind of interested in seeing this movie, besides the fact that the trailer was so enticing. We'll talk about that a little bit here in a second too. But first up, what is Abigail all about? Well, it's essentially about a group of criminals that kidnap a young girl, a daughter of a powerful underworld figure who is, taken to basically get money for her, and they are unaware of who they've kidnapped, who she belongs to, and what the situation is. And obviously, if you've seen the trailer, you know that this is a rich debutante girl who does ballerina, and what was it? Can't even remember. She's a vampire. So, and a different looking vampire than we normally see. Not the regular fang vampire. She's got rows of teeth. She looks something like, some people are comparing it to a demon, and I would agree. So I wanted to go see this, obviously, because not only is it with Matt bettinelli-olpin and Tyler Gillett, who make up half of the Radio Silence team, but also because of the huge cast. And the cast in this movie is phenomenal. You got Melissa Barrera, Dan Stevens, Alicia Weir, William Catlett, Catherine Newton, Kevin Durand, who's just a huge favorite, Giancarlo Esposito, who is not as present in the film as all of that. The Alicia Weir girl who does the vampire in this movie is pretty damn good. Like, it's pretty apparent that girl is going to be extremely successful in whatever she does. Like, that girl is made to act. She is fantastic as this girl. A lot of the characters in this movie, by the way, are very tropic. I was, not really for me. Like, the characters, I get it. They're bad guys. You're not supposed to relate to them a lot. But there's supposed to be some sort of camaraderie that you get into, and they attempt to do that in this movie, and it works for the most part, I'd say. But yeah, I did have some of the issue with some of the dialogue in this movie for some reason, and, to give you kind of an idea, this movie feels a lot. Even though it's not story-wise, it feels very much like Ready or Not. And I don't know how to explain that, and I think it's because it's an ensemble movie where we have a large ensemble cast that is going to be doing a situation in a singular area where they try to get out, and it feels very Ready or Not. It just does. And because of that, I'm going to make a lot of comparisons to that movie, not just because they made it before, but because it feels that way to me. obviously this is about a ballerina vampire. And there are some twists and turns in this movie that are beyond what you saw in the trailer. However, I will say that 50% of this movie, it took about 50 minutes to get to a point where I hadn't seen past the trailer. And that seems extremely long, especially since we all knew it. Now, they wanted to rush out and make sure we knew that this movie was not going to, it had some twists and turns that we didn't know about, and it surely does, but I don't think that they were as amazing as all that. I enjoyed the film. I want to be clear. I enjoy this film. What I am kind of griping about are more disappointments, maybe expectations going in. This is a mainstream picture after all, so this is a very large budget feature film from a lot of really great actors who I really do enjoy. So my expectation levels are going to be high. And I try to minimize those, especially with independent films, because you kind of have to lower it and kind of lower your expectations on somebody that doesn't have a lot of money. Well, for me, I feel it's a little bit on point to be able to criticize mainstream pictures that have millions and millions of dollars. Why? Because mainstream pictures have the money to do things that indies don't. I have some minor gripes with this film that I think are warranted for mainstream films. It's not that I'm trying to crap on this movie, so please, I enjoyed my time with this movie. It is a fun feature. It just didn't supersede my expectation. So the disappointment factor is what's lasted with me once the picture's ended, not necessarily something that I may experience later on after multiple watches of this film. So if you're looking for a generally good time that is bloody, graphic, I didn't find it as funny as like Ready or Not, or it felt a little bit dialed in a little bit for me on the humor, but there are some segments in the movie that I really did enjoy, and I think it was with Catherine Newton's character who plays Sammy. She had a really cool role in this and did some like really unique thing in the movie that I really liked. Also, Dan Stevens is a standout role in this movie, but the one that steals it really, in my opinion, is the girl. She's really good. Obviously, they put a lot of pressure on Melissa Barrera's character, who is phenomenal in this, but a little typecast, not typecast, maybe it's more of a stereotypical like storytelling, because a lot of this felt very tropey in a lot of ways. Even the one-liners in this movie felt a little too done. One of the main characters in this movie has a one line that I was just like, you could have done better. But I can't tell if it's the writing, the acting. Obviously, these are all great actors, so there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't know if these were the best takes, or some of it works, some of it doesn't for me. But overall, I still had a good time with the film. It's really graphic. There is a lot of reminiscence to some of that gore from Ready or Not in this, but it is still a lot of fun. There are some jokes in it to keep you kind of going along. It feels like a long movie. I mean, it is almost 2 hours, and I feel like it could have been trimmed down quite a bit. So that's that. But, I think everybody does a pretty good job in it. I just was hoping that this was going to be a really funny movie and that I was going to like just go bananas over it. But it just, I don't know. I think because it reminded me of other movies, it kind of like relied on just the gimmick of the ballerina vampire, which yes, is the biggest part. But if you're going to show all of that in the trailer, you should also kind of fill out the other parts. And the beginning of the movie was tragically slow for that to be the main leaning point. You understand what I'm saying? Like if they would have started this movie out with just us knowing what's going on right off the bat, and then the story progressed and we would have learned more and the jokes would have stood for themselves other than leaning on the ballerina, that would have been pretty awesome. I'm just a little disappointed because I wanted this to be like a big like feature for me to want to watch over and over again. If I had to compare it, I would say it's like Ready or Not, but not as good. I would say that it's something like Renfield, to me, was funnier than this movie was. This one tries to balance it out a little bit, you know, to try to make it so it's not so cheesy. But I think it kind of hurt it a little bit in some areas. And also it is still cheesy in other areas too. So like I said, the one-liners were, one of them in particular was just so unoriginal. I thought, what are you doing? You know? But again, Abigail Weir's performance is phenomenal, and watching her tear through people and the, you know, some of the twists in the movie was a lot of fun. So I would probably say this movie deserves about a 6.5 out of 10 with minor gripes, you know? But other than that, I think, you know, it's a pretty decent film. I just was expecting more. Most people are feeling like it's an 8 or 9 out of 10. I just wish I was there, but I'm not. I still prefer Ready or Not over this one, and the highest I would go on this would be a 7. So that's what I think about this film. I'm sorry I don't get to edit this down. This will probably seem longer than my other ones because, well, I didn't edit it, so it's not cut down and trimmed, all the fat and everything and all the pauses and stuff like that. But I hope you understand. I am feeling better. Everything's fine. It's just I wanted to get this up in time for you before you went out to the theater tonight on the East Coast. So I hope you understand. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for all the support on this channel. I'm always going to try to be as honest as I possibly can. You know, it seems like everybody loves this, and I feel like I'm the one left out. So it's not a great feeling always, but I have to do what my heart tells me. I definitely need to watch this movie again. Maybe it'll change for me. It did for Ready or Not. Ready or Not went up, so maybe this is one of those kind of films where I just didn't really connect with the material the first time. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Hit the like and subscribe button. If you haven't checked out my newest movie that I just watched, I went bananas over. It's one of my favorite films this year, and maybe that movie had some impact on this one. So if you are looking for something that's probably one of the most intense movies in the world right now, check out my last review. But thanks for coming by, and as always, long live the void.